With all the talk about renewables and sustainable energy, why is it that only 10% of our electricity in the U.S. is from wind and solar, and the total renewable energy is only 18% if you add in hydroelectric? How can we increase the use of renewables to reduce emissions, and how do we make inexpensive, locally produced electricity available? Let's find out. Welcome back to Innovation Tea. I'm Colin McClive, and we help people, property owners, and communities with energy, water, and food solutions that make a difference. On this channel, we talk about the solutions, trends, and policies that impact renewables and how you can benefit. And we'll show you how our customers are making a difference for themselves and others. If you're new here, consider subscribing and hitting the bell to get notifications. So, in this video, we're going to talk about the positive direction we're taking with energy production in this country, where we see opportunities for improvement, and what can be done now. Let's take a look at what's happening in New York State in particular, because this state has really taken a lead in promoting and supporting renewable policies. In fact, Governor Cuomo has set New York on course to produce 70% of its electricity from renewable sources by 2030 and zero greenhouse gas emissions from the electricity sector by 2040. Under his leadership, the state has made substantial progress towards these goals with significant investments in energy efficiency, solar energy, wind energy, and energy storage. And these will be the intended results from a $33 billion 5-year plan to combat climate change. This initiative is great, but are large-scale wind and solar farms the best way to achieve these goals, especially when they use valuable land or are located far from where the electricity is actually used? So, using data from the Energy Information Administration, it would appear that wind and solar are making great inroads into supporting our ever-growing demands for electricity. However, if we look a little deeper, the picture isn't necessarily so great. Right now, New York produces 71% of its electricity from natural gas and oil and nuclear power, 37% from natural gas and oil, and 34% from nuclear. Hydroelectric, wind, and solar produce 28% of New York's electricity, with hydroelectric producing 22%. That means that wind and solar are producing just 6% of New York's electricity. What's even more interesting is how and where electricity is being produced. The New York Independent System Operators Report, Power Trends 2019, shows that 36% of New York's electricity is produced in upstate New York, while 64% is produced in downstate. Impressively, 40% of upstate's electricity production is from hydroelectric, wind, and solar, and 87% of that electricity is zero emissions, while downstate's electricity production is 77% from natural gas and oil, and only 27% of that electricity is zero emissions. These are important statistics because the laws and regulations that are driving climate and emissions control actions are directed largely at New York City and downstate New York. With Governor Cuomo committing to 70% of the state's electricity coming from renewable sources by 2030, and New York City Mayor de Blasio committing to an 80% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions in New York City by 2050, we believe these targets will be challenging to meet with current approaches and technologies. At Innovation Tea, we know there's a better way to produce, supply, and store electricity that can help Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio meet their goals and really help the people and property owners of New York. For years, we've been anticipating the need to decentralize and distribute energy, water, and food production because of the increasing demand for each and the stresses on our current systems. So, at Innovation Tea, we've brought together brilliant inventors and engineers who've solved the problems of distributed energy, water, and food challenges. They've done this quietly over the past 15 years and refined their solutions in anticipation of today. With energy, we can produce kilowatts and megawatts of electricity at the point of usage using advanced micro-wind turbines, magnetic motor generators, and battery storage. Our micro-wind turbines produce electricity in wind speeds as low as 2 miles per hour and can operate up to winds of over 100 miles per hour. Our magnetic motor generators produce electricity outputs ranging from kilowatts to megawatts and run on 12 different fuel sources, including hydrogen. And our battery storage solutions, they provide limitless storage, decades of stable service, and extreme resilience. Perfect for buildings in New York City or anywhere. The brilliance of our energy solutions is that we can produce electricity where you need it and in small spaces, eliminating the deforestation of land required for solar and wind farms. In 1,500 square feet of rooftop space, we can produce as much electricity as a 7-acre solar farm. That's important because we can produce nearly 30 megawatts of electricity in 1 acre as compared to a solar farm that requires 7 acres of land to produce 1 megawatt of electricity. And just to put this in perspective, a city block in Midtown Manhattan is approximately 6 acres, meaning that we can produce as much as 185 megawatts of electricity in a single city block. And the electricity is produced at the point of usage, meaning that there's no transmission loss and the electricity is zero emissions. So we can help building owners avoid the penalties of not complying with emissions control regulations, and we can help Mayor de Blasio and Governor Cuomo meet their ambitious goals today, not 10 or 20 or 30 years from now. There's a lot more to this story and how we're helping people, property owners, and communities with energy solutions. If you'd like to learn more, please click on the links below, and we'll see you in the next video.